Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Josh Mannon. Today I'm going to be talking about case study number 17, which is the Common Practice and Leadership Program from Green Court, Northampton. Okay, so first we're going to talk a little bit about exactly what is the Green Court Group and what is this case study. So the Green Court Group is actually a leading international manufacturer of convenience, food, supplies, wide range of chilled, frozen, and ambient foods to retail and food service customers in the United States and the United Kingdom. So they're basically just a substantially large like food provider, and kind of their issue and the reason that we're doing this case study is that they're expanding rather rapidly, and kind of currently the management that they have right now is not really capable of handling that level of expansion. And the Common Practice and Leadership Program, so the program that was actually devised in order to handle this expansion or to better train these management professionals, was established to support the functional heads of Green Court Group and to assist them in developing both as individuals and as a team leaders capable of leading the business into the future. So a lot of just the shareholders and the people that have invested in the company are afraid that its current management style and the people they have are not going to be able to handle this sort of expansion, which is why we've been tasked with actually creating this training program in order to allow them to handle that. Okay, so back to talking about what the stakeholders have and the investors, what they're looking for. They're looking for an improved capability of the senior managers, an increase in planning for the long term, organizational fit and readiness for the next growth phase, improved teamwork within and between functional areas, improved performance of employees under the new leadership, reduce cost, increase sales, and kind of a couple other general things. But basically, it's just talking about having the organization function more efficiently and effectively as a whole. And most of that comes from the top down. So having capable leaders that are there and know how to handle this sort of thing will allow the entire organization to function well. And of course, which would lead to increased profits. Okay, the structure of the program. So this is actually the structure of the program for this training program, not of the actual organization. But for the initial pilot program, 6 managers were chosen, and these were not 6 managers of the same department, but there were 6 managers chosen from across the entire organization. So maybe someone from HR, someone from engineering, someone from logistics, that sort of thing. So not people that normally work together. The pilot went on for 4 months, and it was comprised of 4 distinct modules, which was team analysis, common practice, action learning set and review, and finally board presentations. Okay, so these were things that these 6 managers had to go through during their training program. And it's all things that would hopefully lead to answering those stakeholder expectations. Okay, so what were the actual objectives? Understand others, which first requires understanding of self. Realize how motivational differences enhance a team. Develop a common language, which requires a blend of team processes and relationship skills to be added to the already present professional and technical skill sets. Number 4 is understand the task and purpose, which will ensure true understanding and consistent quality results. 5 is check or challenge a purpose to build relationships and produce results for the purpose of all stakeholders. And finally, 6 is understand true delegation and all of its associated risks and rewards. So these were all the specific objectives for the management that would allow them to more efficiently run the program and communicate with each other. So a lot of that just revolves around communication and learning how better to motivate employees, motivate each other, how to communicate with each other effectively without any misunderstandings or things like that, which really is what's going to lead the program into the future. So as we talk about with the 4 objectives, in terms of the 4 levels of training, is we talk so much about starting with the results, right? So there's not really a way to know exactly where you're going until you know what it is you're looking for. So here in the case study, we actually start with the results first, the desired results. So in terms of internal indicators, we have quite a long list here. That's improved functional alignment towards site's goals, increase individual and team productivity, increase engagement score in cultural surveys, sustain improvement in cross-functional teamwork, more internal promotions, increase employee stability rates. So the list just kind of goes on and on, but these are going to be specific things that the trainers would be looking for. So if we can actually see an improved functional alignment towards the site goals, or you actually see more employees being promoted from within because they meet the requirements, if you see sustained cost figures, improved cost figures, all of these physical results are going to show us that, okay, so this training and this management education is working. So it's one thing just to say, okay, it'll be great to see this, but how do we actually do that? And in terms of seeing indicators from the outside, we can see increased customer satisfaction, repeat sales, new customers, or increased sales. So the internal indicators are all going to be those things that we can see from within the company and within the employees, within the management. And external indicators are things we're going to see from outside the company. So that's going to deal a lot with clients and sales. Things from the sales team, seeing numbers increase, whether it's increased sales, adding new customers, or just getting the same customers looking for more sales, that sort of thing. So as long as we're seeing an increase in that, that's going to be a good indicator that this management education is functioning properly. Okay, so it's one thing to say, these are the results we want to have. These are the things we're going to be looking for. But really the question is, how do we get there? Okay. So what kind of behaviors are we looking to see? We were looking to see the management communicate a shared vision with direct reports, consistently use a common language, engage in activities to increase relevant self-awareness, consistently use defined productive delegation behaviors, check and challenge processes to ensure maximum performance, all of these things. And how do they actually get there? Performance job aids, performance observation and feedback, interviews and focus groups with leaders and their managers, mentoring, one-on-one coaching from supervisors, formal and informal recognition, targeted on-the-job training. So these are all going to be potential strategies that can actually be used in order to develop the necessary behaviors that would produce the results, produce those desired results we just went over. So we're going to not only be looking for that empirical evidence of those numbers increasing, the increased number of promotions, that sort of thing. We're actually going to be looking for consistent behavior within the management, within the management team. Okay, and the way that they're accomplishing that, the way to get that behavior ingrained in this management is by doing these different tasks. Okay, by doing the observation and feedback, by doing the interviews and the focus groups, doing the mentoring, all that sort of thing, the one-on-one coaching. Okay, and now you'll notice that a lot of this is, well, once we get into the evaluation, this will be either formative or also summative. So in this case study, we actually look at, in terms of the evaluation, we're looking at stuff that's happening in real time, but then later we're actually going to be looking at stuff that's happening after the fact. That's summarizing the whole thing. That's going to be more summative. So things like the one-on-one coaching, the mentoring, that's all going to be formative because it's happening in the moment, and then the actual training team could potentially adjust their training program if they realize that it's not working as effectively as they would want. But then after the fact, they can also look to see how the employees felt, how the management felt, the trainees felt, and that's going to be summative evaluation. And then that would be used to also adjust this program in the future or to see how effective it was. Now, in terms of how did we actually do the evaluation, how did we get people primed and ready for this learning task? So the first thing that they did in this case study was to provide this application form that allowed the trainee to fully understand what they were getting into, what they were going to need to be aware of going into this. Okay, so it's really nice because it actually lists the course objectives right there on the front. So it says, you will be aware of your own and others' use of both enabling and inhibiting language patterns and challenge with elegance those patterns increase awareness and change, communicate in ways that enhance understanding, trust, and interest. These are all going to be things that the trainee now knows, oh, this is what I'm getting into and this is what I'll be ready for, which is very effective. On this kind of the flip side of that, it also has the contract that it's detailing explicitly, this is what you will need to be doing during this training. Okay, so if once they've read that, they see, okay, this is my responsibility, this is what I'm in charge of, it will hopefully make the training program run much more smoothly because everyone is on the same page, and that just goes back to the whole communicating effectively. And that's also true of the management, to show that this is going to be your job, your responsibility in training the employee, in training the trainee. And so just make sure you are aware of that and keep that at the forefront. So now after the fact, in terms of the summative evaluation, so on the left here, we have the training course evaluation form. So this was actually the trainees that took the course. They're going to be rating this on a scale of strongly disagree to strongly agree. And they're going to be rating themselves under the me section, the materials, the environment, the relevance, the effectiveness. So these are all going to be kind of quantitative things that we can actually look to see and measure. Okay, like I was able to apply this learning to my role. Strongly agree, neutral, disagree, strongly disagree, that sort of thing. So then the evaluators can look at this after the fact and see if the employees actually felt engaged and felt like they were learning something. On the other side, you actually have the post-course effectiveness review. Now this is interesting because most of the time we talk about how it's so effective to do evaluation immediately after the fact, but this is actually a 2-week post-review. So it's going to be looking at all the trainees once they've completed the training. They then wait 2 weeks, and then the management does another evaluation of them, does this survey to see, okay, are they actually utilizing the skills that were learned? All right, for example, you're still doing the strongly disagree to strongly agree, but it has the outcomes of the course, master course objectives I discussed with my employee prior to the course. The employee demonstrates full understanding, comprehension of the course subject. The employee is applying the skills learned during the course, all of these things. So this is something it's really interesting and I think very effective, is because it does take some time after the fact to get to this, to see how much of this information stuck and how much of it are the employees continuing to use in their day-to-day operation. Okay, the results of the pilot and the summary. So now several of the changes within the business resulted in a weekly reduction of material usage by, on average, over $30,000. These changes have endured, and there's a 12-week trend indicating that they have resolved the issue. So this is obviously a very positive result, and saving $30,000 is excellent. So that definitely meets one of the expectations from the beginning. Individuals understood more deeply their own motivational values. This enabled them to play to their strengths and moderate their overused traits. Again, exactly what we were looking for. It allowed the employees to better understand how they operate, how they communicate, which then allowed them to see that, okay, well, maybe I excel in this area, but I'm not great in this area. So then they could work together with others to kind of play off their strengths, and then their counterparts could cover their weaknesses. Colleague engagement was improved as the ability to listen without solving was enhanced. Team members' ideas were accepted and acted upon. That goes along pretty much the same thing, that increase in communication. Meetings became more effective, purposeful, and shorter. Some were deemed irrelevant and canceled altogether. I know that is a major issue in a lot of businesses, a lot of companies, is this giant time waste, which when looked at from the perspective of cost per hour per employee, it's a huge waste of money as well. So for them to be able to look back on this and say that, oh, we were able to make much more effective meetings, that's a huge benefit, and that's definitely something they were looking for. Overall, the pilot was quite a success. The team was able to report up to the executive team with updates on a bi-monthly basis. The challenge was met within 6 weeks and reversed a 20-week trend. The results have been consistent with the variance staying within the predetermined standard for the last 9 weeks. This represents a savings or recovery of over $250,000 so far. So clearly a great return on investment here.